you've never seen one of these before, these little levers is how you control whether it's a full sweep back and forth or only half a sweep.
Let me show it.
So this one, like if you wanted a full sweep, you'd move this lever all the way to that side and this one all the way to that side, and that gives you the full sweep.
Stop it. It's gonna get me. I mean, push that back.
And then when you want half, you move this lever to halfway, and then it'll only go to that point and then stops and goes back the other way. So it just controls how far the sprinkler goes before it stops and reverses.
Okay. That's pretty simple. Okay.
There's this valve here that allows you to turn it on and off without getting all wet. So you set the sprinkler where you want it, then you come back over to this valve and you open it up, and then it starts going.
It's the valve that is closest to the end where the sprinkler is. So the first place he puts it is there's 422. We're at the end of the front flower bed. This is the first place he puts it, and it goes both ways. So he let it go for about 5 minutes in this first spot. Go ahead. He's walking it to the cross pathway. There's 422. He's putting it right there so that it will water this side. We just planted an azalea, and it will get this side also a little better. Okay? And then he goes back and turns the valve so it starts. And you'll let it go for 5 minutes again. Okay, I'm taking this. It's still doing the front by 422. Where do you usually go next, Tim?
So then those two islands have been watered pretty well, so I usually bring it to this center aisle and get from the maple tree and then overlap onto that one and get the hostas that didn't get wet from the other side. So it's just kind of overlapping.
Because you'll see, there are spots where there's no water. Ah! There's no water underneath, like the hosta there. So when you bring it up to this pathway, it will get more water. So it's still going there. You're going to come up to this.
After we know that those two islands are well watered, then I go to this big front one and I'll set it for only halfway, so that it doesn't go back and forth completely. It only goes halfway and then goes back. And I'll just come along the front with that.
On the grass.
With it, setting it up on the grass to go halfway and then back and halfway, and then as you go along, like I say, it'll overlap a little bit, which is good. So that you get this whole front section.
How many times do you move it, probably, would you guess?
Maybe 3 times.
3 times. So one's about right where, here, let me back up. Stand about there.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Maple
1,
tree.
2, 3.
Well, 1. Now walk to the second place.
And you get this center part.
Okay, probably halfway between the locust and the maple. Okay. The house is behind me.
And then we'll come down and do this part.
Okay. And this is
And
all half.
a lot of times the stuff along that aisle doesn't really get that wet, so at the end I'll put the sprinkler on that.
On this walkway?
On this walkway. And let it do a full sweep back and forth, because there's plants along the left side of the walkway and along the right side.
Okay.
And that just kind of finishes it off.
For this bed.
For this bed.
This is it going just halfway, and you can see Daddy sets it pretty much right at the edge of the bed because it's gonna get me. Ah! You can see it goes up and back, so it's getting all that stuff. Okay, Kristy, we are moving from that bed to the apple tree bed. Yeah, it's the best way to describe it. Go ahead.
So I usually, where I start over here, I'll set it right here and just do half sweep on this front part, and then I'll move it around over here and do a half sweep here.
This is the dry riverbed that goes in front of this whole patch because it gets so wet in the springtime and fall.
There's a French drain underneath these rocks.
Yeah.
So it stopped water from piling up here.
Yeah. So you're sitting the thing on the grass?
Yeah.
Pretty
well,
much.
You can set it on the stone, really.
Okay, on the stone. So you do this part. And
then you go down to this end and get this part.
This is the sad part. It is very, very dry here.
But it's got some nice trees that we want to make sure get some water.
Yeah. Yep. Everything is in pots, and that's why we have to make sure we water. Not everything, but a lot of stuff is left. I left in pots because the tree roots will invade and kill it. Okay, so let's go.
So then once you've got this front part of the bed, then you go over here.
And this is all halfway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I'll adjust the sprinkler to do a full sweep, and I'll set it right on this pathway.
Show exactly where you usually put it.
Set it right
on the bare spot.
So it'll get over here to the apple tree, and it'll get over here to this bed with the pine trees and this new.
We got a new tree here.
Beautiful new tree. We want to make sure
it gets watered.
The summer.
Yeah.
So
it goes back and forth
here. You know, what we've done is going to miss that end of this bed, but I'm not going to worry about that anymore.
I just want to make sure this tree doesn't look like it's been getting a lot of water. So make sure that poor little tree gets some water. And there's another one over here, right there, in front of all the weeds. I quit weeding because there is poison ivy in there, so don't go in there. But there's a lot of hostas. So anyways, that would be the end of the water, right? That's... Oh, hold on. Okay, we have now left the hosta beds and are in front of the house.
And I usually will set the sprinkler here. We've got this dogwood that we're babying to get it through the summer. So I usually set the sprinkler about here and do a full sweep this way and that way. And the way that it goes, it spreads out this way, it'll get the dogwood, it'll get both this bed and these trees over here.
Okay. But if it rains on Saturday, you probably won't have to worry about doing all this. If you just took the sprinkler and got this dogwood and that dogwood, you can barely see it because they are not doing well.
And you just walk through those dogwoods with the sprinkler and just hold the sprinkler over it for
a minute
or 45 seconds or something, and then it gets a good drink.
Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of plants behind the waterfalls. There's 3 Japanese maples that I would like to see get a drink. And actually, I try to water even the plants that are there in the water. I think they do get a drink, so I'm not worried about those guys. But the guys that are out here on the outside of the waterfall, definitely give them a drink. I'm gonna go around the back. Now, we have a chipmunk problem. They tend to burrow into this wall and go chew up the lining, and it creates holes. So, Daddy set traps. Be careful. We put a pot in front of this one. There's a hole that they go to, and he put the trap right in front of the hole. There's one here. Oops, he put 3 out. There's a hole there he put a trap in front of, and there's a hole there. So be very careful. Don't stick your fingers or foot in it. But anyways, along the back of the waterfall, there's ferns up here on the top, and a tree, a couple hostas, 3 hostas, a tree, another fern. And then there's some plants in the wall or on the side. I would just sprinkle them. Okay? The guys in the middle, I think they get water. There is a maple right here that you can see the dirt is so dry. If you remember to give it a drink, you're going to have to pull the hose from the front and pull it all the way between the dogwood and this bed and go through the arbor. This is where you would make a cut over to the pond to water that stuff. And then you're going to walk the path beside the house where the generator and the air conditioner is. Open the gate. There are some beds. This one will be up on there. That'll get watered. These are herbs. It'll get watered. This is cactus. A short drink. There's a cactus. I'm going to leave it on the table. I wouldn't even give it a drink because I've watered it too much and it's melting, see? So I wouldn't water this one. And there's also this guy, poor guy. He's the one that really suffered this winter time, and I've cut off most of it. But give him a drink. These are cactus, and that's hanging from the tree. There are some hostas that are behind around this big maple tree right at the base. you'll see a bunch of pots. Just, you know, just hold it and water all these pots quickly. You know, just 45 seconds or so would do well. Last thing in the backyard, this is out by the garden. These are all my angel trumpets, and they just are doing so poorly. I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but go ahead and water each of them. There's quite a few right along here. Just hold it. Then water. There's a couple Japanese maples in here. There's a ton of hostas in pots back there that if you just want to let it water everything there. That's the first one to the right. The first one in the front to the left is mostly lavenders. If you want to water it, you can. I don't think you have to. I haven't weeded that one yet, so don't worry about it. And that one has one lone little maple tree in the middle that I would try to give it a little water. So that's all in the backyard, out by the garden. Here are tree frog. I forgot along the back of the house, I put these agaves in pots. I don't think you should have to worry about the back, because there's some cactus. Don't worry about them. Okay, this is probably the easiest part outside. The hose is down there in the window well, but I always leave the nozzle sitting out on the brick so you don't have to bend over way down deep in there. The faucet is behind the trees. You turn it right to open it, and then this hose nozzle, I usually keep it on either rain. Let's see what rain looks like. No, I use shower. I'm gonna leave it on shower. And back in the corner here, I'm gonna close this door. Back in the corner are some Japanese maples. They're in a holder so they won't fall over. Water them about this long, okay? I am babying this one right here. It dried out in the sun by the pond, and I don't know if it's gonna make it or not. So I just keep giving it a good drink and hope and pray it comes back. There's just a few there's a fern, couple ferns. This fern dried out by the pond. So just make sure everybody gets a drink down here. We're gonna go along. There's a lilac back here that dried up. So we're babying it, put it in the shade. It's getting watered. Another Japanese maple. Just give it a good drink. Okay. I put some tomatoes in this thing here. It's not real deep, but I would make sure to give them a drink so they don't burn up in there. And then go to the other side. There's a fern up here. Give it a drink. These are my rosemaries. They will go out to the garden, but I left them here for you. Just make sure they have water in each of these little pots. Now those are succulents, those two, so don't worry about. This is a jasmine. It can get a good drink. Another Japanese maple. Those are bulbs. I let them dry up, but I want to plant them sometime. And then this is the only pot I've gotten planted so far with different flowers, so it will need a good drink. Okay, then go out. These I'm going to leave right here. I will have 5 more plants. I have to go pick them up at Louise's tomorrow, so I have to get those from her. And I probably will put them along in here somewhere. Oh, this one is out in full sun, so make sure he gets a drink at the corner of the sidewalk. And then the rest is succulents. I would not water the 2 corner pots. I've already taken a plant out because I overwatered it, and it just melted because it was too. But so don't do those. Don't do those on the back. Hopefully on the porch, the succulents, don't bother with. And that's all there is here. I put most of it up in the shade up under there. Okay? Oh, okay. Turn that off. In the breezeway, I'm going to leave some succulents right in here. I'll water them. You probably won't have to. Okay? And I've got some succulents up, except for that poor rabbit's foot fern. It looks pretty sad. But the rest of this stuff, I don't think you should have to water it if I water it. Okay? Just check it. If something looks like it's wilted, water it. And that's all that's in here are more succulents I have to put outside still. Here's the aquarium upstairs. Don't be surprised if you come in and it's got this little bit of algae film on it. It seems like it happens a lot. The cleaner thing is on the side here, and you don't have to do this, but I don't like to see it so dirty. Anyways, to feed them, since you're only going to be here one time, I would feed them the frozen stuff. I'll show you where it's at. Go into the kitchen, go into the freezer. It's on the drawer. There's I usually use four different boxes of stuff. And I'll take one little cube out of each one, and I'll leave a little one of these little dishes. Oh, here they are. One of these little dishes. I just run some water in here and then set it on the counter and put 4 cubes in there. Walk away from it for about 5 minutes, and then I just take the whole thing and lift here and dump it in, and the fishies will go crazy. I also have this flaky food, but they get this all the time. I'd rather you give them the frozen food, and they'll be happy. I usually put it on the right side of the fish tank by the TV. They're used to being fed there, and there used to be a feeding ring there, but I don't know what Daddy did with it. Okay, We'll leave a bucket of water for them. If you look on the left side of the cabinet under the aquarium, you see Daddy put this styrofoam in here to try to soften the noise, but you can see there's still a line on here. A water line should be up to there. So you just fill up, usually you fill it up from the top and it will slowly work down and fill it up to the line. Okay? We'll fill it up before we go. And then just stick your styrofoam back in there and close this. Okay, we're going downstairs into the second room, messy second room. Daddy just did a water change, so it's kind of murky looking in there. But in this basket on the poultry here is a bag of Koi's Choice. You are going to grab a handful. About like that. Throw it in. Just throw it in. And usually they come over and they eat it very quickly, but because Daddy's been messing with them.
I just fed them.
Oh, and you just fed them, so they're not going to be hungry. But that's all you got to do down here. If the pump, we fill it up, I don't think it's going to.
It'll be fine. It's pretty full right now.
So you look at this.
Quite full, actually.
Yeah, you look at this down here. If you hear the pump sucking air, just add tap water, and you add, where is it?
But you won't need to add anything.
You probably won't need to do this, but in an emergency, it's AquaSafe Plus. And how much do you add?
I put a capful in a bucket of water.
Capful in a whole bucket of water, so you adjust it according to what you throw in there. Okay?
It's not critical how much.
Okay. The water comes out of this tap, right? Or do you take it into the laundry room?
No.
Okay.